Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling guilty, confused, and somehow convinced that your own feelings were the problem? Stay with me until the end of this video and you'll learn how emotional manipulation hides in everyday interactions, why intelligent and kind people fall for it, and the practical signs that can help you protect yourself before the damage runs deep. The frightening part is that emotional manipulation rarely announces itself. It doesn't knock on the door wearing a villain's costume. It often arrives dressed as love, concern, respect, culture, religion, or even sacrifice. Many people think manipulation only happens in abusive marriages or dramatic relationships where there is shouting and violence. In reality, it can happen between dating partners, spouses, parents and children, siblings, friends, pastors and church members, employers and employees, or even adult children caring for aging parents. Picture this. A woman tells her boyfriend, "It hurts when you disappear for 3 days without replying to my messages." Instead of acknowledging her feelings, he replies, "So now I'm a terrible person? After everything I do for you, this is the thanks I get." The conversation suddenly stops being about his behavior and becomes about comforting him. She ends up apologizing for bringing up an issue that affected her in the first place. That is emotional manipulation. At its core, emotional manipulation is the use of guilt, fear, obligation, shame, confusion, or affection to influence someone into acting against their own needs or better judgment. It is about controlling outcomes without openly asking for what is wanted. In many African homes, manipulation is so common that people mistake it for normal communication. A mother says, "After all I sacrificed for you, you can't even visit me every weekend." A husband says, "A good wife wouldn't question her husband." A girlfriend says, "If you really loved me, you would prove it by giving me access to your bank account." An uncle says, "Family should never say no to family right before asking for money that he has no intention of repaying." The words may sound familiar. The problem is not always the request itself. The problem is using emotional pressure instead of honest communication. One of the most powerful tools manipulators use is guilt. Guilt can make decent people do things they never wanted to do. You agree to lend money you cannot afford to lose. You cancel your own plans to avoid disappointing someone. You tolerate disrespect simply to keep the peace. Soon your entire life revolves around managing another person's emotions while neglecting your own. Another common tactic is making you question your reality. You remember exactly what happened. They insist it never happened. You show them the text message. They say you misunderstood it. You explain why their words hurt. They accuse you of being too sensitive. Over time, you stop trusting your own memory and instincts. You begin asking other people whether your reactions are reasonable. That constant self-doubt becomes fertile ground for further manipulation. Then there is the silent treatment. Many people confuse silence with emotional regulation. They are not always the same thing. Healthy people may take space to calm down before discussing an issue. Manipulative silence is different. It is designed to make you anxious enough to surrender. Your calls go unanswered. Your messages remain unread. Days pass. Finally, you apologize just to restore contact, even when you did nothing wrong. The silence achieved exactly what the manipulator wanted: control. Some manipulators weaponize kindness. They shower you with gifts, favors, and support that you never asked for. Later, those gestures become invisible contracts. I paid your school fees. I introduced you to important people. I let you stay in my house. So now you owe me unquestioning loyalty. Real generosity gives freely. Manipulation keeps receipts. Fear is another powerful currency. Sometimes it is fear of abandonment. If you leave me, nobody else will ever want you. Sometimes it is fear of public embarrassment. If you tell anyone what happens in this house, you'll destroy the family name. Sometimes it is fear disguised as spirituality. If you disagree with me, you're rebelling against God. When fear replaces healthy discussion, manipulation is often nearby. In many African communities, respect for elders is an important value. Respect can strengthen families and preserve wisdom across generations. Yet respect should never require surrendering your dignity. A young woman who politely says, "I cannot contribute to that expense this month," is not disrespectful. A son who sets financial boundaries after years of exploitation is not automatically ungrateful. Culture deserves honor, but culture should never become a hiding place for emotional control. Manipulation also thrives in romantic relationships through jealousy disguised as love. I just don't want other men looking at you. I'm only checking your phone because I care. I need your location every minute so I know you're safe. At first, these actions can feel flattering. Eventually, they become surveillance, isolation, and control. One day you realize your world has become very small. You barely see your friends. You second guess your wardrobe. You edit your words before speaking. You feel less like a partner and more like a prisoner trying to avoid punishment. So why do so many people miss these warning signs? Partly because manipulation often arrives gradually. Nobody wakes up one morning and agrees to surrender their confidence. It happens one compromise at a time, one apology you didn't owe, one boundary you abandoned, one uncomfortable joke you laughed off, one request that made you uneasy but seemed easier to accept than refuse. The slow pace makes unhealthy patterns feel ordinary. People who grew up in dysfunctional environments may be especially vulnerable. If love always came with guilt, criticism, unpredictability, or emotional withdrawal, manipulation can feel strangely familiar. Familiarity is often mistaken for safety. The good news is that awareness changes everything. Start paying attention to how you consistently feel around someone. Do you feel respected even when they disagree with you? Can you say no without fearing punishment? Can you express hurt without the conversation turning into an attack on your character? Do you feel free to have independent thoughts, friendships, and goals? Healthy relationships may involve conflict, but they should not require you to shrink yourself. Learning to set boundaries is one of the strongest antidotes to manipulation. You can calmly say, I'm not comfortable with that. You can respond, I need time to think before giving you an answer. You can refuse to make decisions under pressure. You can choose not to explain yourself repeatedly to people committed to misunderstanding you. Boundaries are not walls built to keep love out. They are doors with locks allowing healthy people in while protecting you from those who seek control. Most importantly, trust patterns more than promises. Someone may say they love you every day while consistently making you feel anxious, guilty, indebted, or afraid. Words matter. Actions matter more. If this video helps you recognize emotional manipulation in your own relationships, remember this simple truth. Love should make you feel seen, not controlled. Care should make you feel secure, not indebted. Respect should make you feel valued, not silenced. The healthiest relationships do not demand that you lose yourself in order to keep someone else comfortable. They create enough safety for both people to be honest, accountable, and fully human.